Happy Friday, lambs. Happy Friday. Kai here for your Florida Man Friday episode. You're just not going to, it is Florida Man, so maybe you will believe this when I say it, but let's get into it. Before we begin, as usual, I want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder. We'd love to have you over there, so just go ahead and come on over and join. Give it a try, see how you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not holding you hostage. I'm not one of these people on my show. You can come and go as you please. Patreon.com/love and murder. Let's get into this Florida Man Friday. On January 17th, 2024, at around 12:42 a.m., police received a 911 call of gunshots being fired at the 10,000 block of North 23rd Street in Tampa, which is about 8 miles north of downtown Tampa, Florida. When they arrived, they found two women outside of the home, shot and asking for help. Shortly after this, a man came out of the house and opened fire on police, quote, forcing them to return fire. Now, he wasn't struck by the police's returning gunfire, and he ended up being taken into custody after surrendering. I guess he was like, please don't shoot, okay, yeah, I forgot y'all have guns too. So after he was apprehended, police were now free to look around, talk to people, see what was going on. So during their investigation, they did find a dead woman inside the home, which was 52-year-old Josephine Wentz, and she had died of a gunshot wound to the head. They went back to the two women outside, who was a 60-year-old mother, the mother of the person they arrested, and 17-year-old daughter. The person the police arrested in question was 42-year-old Michael Monroe Banks, who was the father of the 17-year-old and, like I said, the son of the 60-year-old. The 60-year-old woman said that the woman who was now deceased had been one of her friends, and they had actually been discussing kicking Michael out of the house because, wait for it, he was, quote, pursuing a romantic relationship with his 17-year-old daughter. Ya heard me? You heard me. You heard me. Michael's mother said that she heard a gunshot and then saw her friend fall into the floor, and Michael was standing over her holding a gun. So then she probably said, oh, shit. And that's when he shot at her, grazed her in the head, and she just took off running. She forgot she was 60 and was like an 18-year-old track star. On the other hand, the 17-year-old said that she was in the shower when she heard gunshots. She said she tried to push the bathroom door closed, but then that's when her father shot through the door at head level. So she tried to get out of there, and he ended up shooting her in the leg. So Michael was charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer, and a felon in possession of a firearm. We'll get into the felon part. When he was questioned by police, he said, okay, this is what happened. I wrote a love letter to my daughter, and in that love letter, I urged her to, quote, enter into a relationship with me and not date anyone else. Then later on, I come around the corner and I hear my mom and her friend talking about kicking me out of the house, and I'm going to be freaking homeless, all because I told my daughter that I loved her and I wanted to be with her. How crazy is that? So, I was just like, screw that. Y'all don't all have my back, and I'm going to show you what happens when you don't have my back. So I went into my room. I loaded, quote, the muzzle loading revolver, which to do this, you have to measure gunpowder, then pour the gunpowder into each of the 6 cylinders. Then you have to press projectiles into each cylinder. Literally. In the 3 hours that it takes to do that, you have time to calm down. You utter piece of trash. You utter nasty human being. You freaking stain on society. Are you freaking kidding me? You asked your daughter to be with you? Your daughter? Do you like me, Markov? Yes or no? Are you freaking kidding me? Then you went and got a World War II era gun. Had to freaking load that muzzle. All the time, that's him talking to himself while he's doing his gun, which is going to take about half a day. And in all that time, you didn't calm down. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, I still didn't even finish telling you all the things he had to do to get the gun prepared to go out there and do all this. That's how long it took. He then allegedly admitted to shooting his mother's friend in the head because this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to shoot her in the head, and then he was actually aiming at her chest area to shoot her again. And then he turned on his mom because he was going to shoot her the same way, head and then chest. And when his mom got away, he then went to shoot his daughter through the bathroom door. He didn't get her. Well, he wasn't sure if he got her. He shot where he thought her head would be. And then he reloaded and kicked in the door. That's when he, saw her fleeing and he got her in the leg. Then he said, quote, he heard police officers yelling commands at him and saw an officer in the front yard of his neighbor's house through the chain link fence. The defendant said that he shot at the officer twice. Shortly afterwards, he put his gun on the kitchen table and surrendered. Then in his pretrial detention motion, prosecutors said that Michael had purchased a gun from a sporting goods website last year, even though he was a convicted felon. So this is what I'm wondering. How are y'all going about checking people you're selling firearms to? This is part of the problem. He's a convicted felon. Maybe you should have done the research, got the paperwork filled out, and done the background check like you're supposed to do before you sell a weapon to somebody. In the past, the reason why he was a felon was because he had received a sentence of 1 year and a day in prison in 2007 because of aggravated battery of a pregnant woman. Aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, and you got 1 year in prison. That's what you got. Then he got another 5 years in 2010 for simple battery as a second offense. I mean, I think that's kind of backwards. You should have gotten 5 years for beating up a pregnant woman, and then I guess another 5 years for doing it again. But this time, I guess it wasn't a pregnant person. Anyway, currently he's being held without bond at the Hillsborough County Jail. And he was supposed to have a pre-trial detention hearing in early February, but I have not seen any updates of what's going on with him. I did look through the incarceration list in Florida, but I couldn't find his name, so I have no idea what's going on with this. So if I see any updates, I will let y'all know. But oh my God, you wanted to have a relationship, a serious, not the father-daughter relationship. You wanted to date your daughter. And when your daughter freaked out and went and told your mom, and they immediately took measures, which I just want to commend the grandmother for taking immediate action, because there are people out there who would have been like, well, I think you're lying, or I think you're making it up in your head, or whatever these crazy people who don't believe their children or their grandchildren say. But this grandmother, she was on it. She was like, oh, he's my son, but this gotta go. He gots to go. So shout out to that grandmother, and shout out to that girl for not staying silent either. Good job. And shout out to that friend. She lost her life. I'm sorry for that, but shout out to her for standing behind the grandmother and the daughter as well. I hope this piece of trash, I guess this would be his third time. So what is that? Life in prison? I don't know the consequences of the 3-strike rule, so I'm not really sure. I'm just guessing life in prison. If you know, tell me in the comments below. I mean, I could look it up, or y'all could just write to me and tell me. Anyway, that piece of trash. So anyways, he's in prison right now. So my poll for this episode is going to be, were you shocked when you heard that he wanted to get with his daughter? So the option is going to be yes or no. That's literally it. That's the poll question. And speaking of polls, let's get into your comments for last week's episode. I did have a poll for that Florida Man Friday. If you remember, I had given you 2 stories actually. It was a 93-year-old woman who went to jail for not paying her rent. They were trying to evict her, and she wouldn't leave, so they called the police on her. And the bug invasion in the man's nose. So I actually didn't put out a poll for that. I just went and checked. I thought I'd put out a poll, but I didn't put out a poll. What I did was posted the pictures to my Insta, Love Murder Podcast, or if you wanted to see it on YouTube, at Love and Murder Podcast on YouTube. And so many comments I got. A lot of people went to the Insta and saw the pictures, and most of the comments were just like throw up faces. But yeah, I didn't post a poll on that one, but we could read some of the comments from there, which, like I said, most of the comments were just like, bleh. That was it. but some people actually wrote stuff. Eljandrew, I don't know if that's how you say it, said, "Oh my God, I just listened to the podcast today and I had to come look. These look like fish tongue eating lice. That is just creepy." Which I told him that actually makes sense because remember he worked around fish, so that does make sense, but still, oh my God, and ew. Then people were saying they didn't want to see the pictures. They were scrolling past the pictures. One of those people was Christine or Bobo. But she also did say, "Wash your ass, people." That took her out when I said that. And on a serious note, I'm wondering how that man is making out, which I'm wondering too. Like, to me, he has a freaking hole, a bunch of holes, probably a bunch of tunnels in his head going up to his brain. I think he would have to continuously go back and forth to the doctor. They have to make sure it's not getting infected. They have to make sure nothing's getting to his brain. Eesh. Craziness, craziness, craziness. So anyways, what do you think about this Florida Man Friday? Let me know in the comments below. That is all I have for you today, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.